All right. Welcome to the Library Introduction webinar for EDU 520, taking place on Friday, January 24th, 2020. First, just a little about me so you kind of know who you're listening to. My name is Kendra Harrell. I'm a librarian at A&M University Texarkana, and I started at the library here in 2014 as a part-time cataloger, and I graduated with my master's in library science in 2018, then moved into a full-time librarian position shortly after that. I mostly work in outreach, training, collection development for the social sciences and our graphic novel collection, and reference services. My contact info and office hours are on your screen. I'm the only full-time librarian that works evenings, but we do have other front desk staff that can help with basic questions. As far as personal life, I've got 4 dogs. I love arts and crafts. My hair is purple right now, so that makes it easy to identify me on campus, even if you're really terrible at names like I am. So for our overview and objectives slide here, we've got 3 sections that I've got this training busted up into. So we've got first, library resources. And that's going to be a review of the variety of resources that are available to you at the library as a student. The second part is database searching. We're just going to go over the basics of using the library's database search to locate articles online. And then the third section is kind of a preview of some upcoming changes that are happening and kind of what to expect when we get to that point. So I'll start us off with kind of a little photo tour of the physical library. In print, we have books in different sections. Our main section is on the 4th floor, and that's where this picture is taken. It's got most of the books in our collection up there. On the 3rd floor, where you would actually enter the library, there are a few different areas. So right inside the main entrance is our bestseller section, and that rotates out with new content, so it keeps pretty fresh. Then there's a seating area with newspapers and magazines. And then down the hallway a little bit towards the computer lab is our graphic novel section. In our multi-purpose room, which is also on the 3rd floor, we have a juvenile section with lots of great kids books. We also have a small collection of print periodicals. Most of our journals are online now, so it is a fairly small collection. And then our curriculum resources, as well as a folio area. Folio being essentially a fancy word for too big for the regular shelves. As an A&M student, you have access to Texarkana College Library as well. And you can even ask us to pick up books from TC and bring them over here for you to check out. It usually takes about a day for us to do that, like a business day. We don't run our courier on the weekends. And if there's a book that you are looking for, like a specific book that we don't have, we can also use our interlibrary loan service to have another library somewhere in the country send it to us so that you can borrow it. Now, there's lots of things that you can actually check out of the library that aren't books, though. We've got a kiosk on the 4th floor that you can use to get a laptop, an iPad, or a portable charger. I will warn you, you do have to have a student ID to use that kiosk, though. That's just how it's set up. We aren't able to override it. By request at the 3rd floor service desk, even without a student ID, you can also get a lot of other media items. We check out graphing calculators for the entire semester, so if you need it for a class, you don't necessarily have to buy one. We also have camcorders, headsets, webcams, Kindles, digital cameras, GoPros, and lots more stuff. We even have accessories like tripods for the cameras and memory card readers. We're always working on kind of expanding our collection of media items. So if there's some sort of equipment that you're needing for a class, it doesn't hurt to ask us if we have it, because we very well may have coordinated with the professor, or even if not, we may actually just have it on hand. So in addition to all that media equipment that you can actually check out from the library, we also house the computer lab, which also has a printer in it, and a scanning station called the Kick. And the Kick is essentially made to scan from printed materials like books and journals. So if you have a few pages that you need to scan and either print out a copy or email to yourself or save to a flash drive, you can do it pretty easily on that machine. So A lot of what the library has to offer isn't actually on the shelves in the library because we have a huge online collection. The library's website gives you access to hundreds of databases, thousands of ebooks, journals, images, audiobooks, and more. We're going to go more in depth on that in just a little bit. But first, I want to show you some of the other things the library can offer. If I can do the slides right. Every month and a half or so, we have a new art show in the library featuring local artists. Each exhibit is launched with a reception that's open to everyone that has refreshments and you can meet the artists. In spring semesters, we celebrate Library Week with a theme and several days of events. Last spring, we had a Harry Potter week, complete with wand making, cosplay, and a sorting ceremony. Every library week, we also have an edible book contest, which is really the highlight. And that's where staff, faculty, and students can compete with tasty treats to win prizes. Last spring semester, we had our third annual EagleCon. And at this event, we had a cosplay contest. We had games, popcorn, face painting, button making. We had an escape room during that time as well, and several other activities. We kind of like to dress up in the library. We're currently scheduling the date for our next EagleCon, but it will be sometime during this semester. And the best way to keep track of library events and updates is to follow our Facebook page. It's at facebook.com/TAMUT library, all strung together, TAMUT LIBRARY. So with all the resources available to you at the library, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes to find like the one thing that you're looking for, but you're not alone. The library is here to help you figure out how to use the library. That's our job. So the librarians and other library staff are here to help. There's no stupid questions. We really don't expect you to just intuitively know how to find journal articles or locate the book you need or even where things are located in the library. We want you to ask us this stuff. I mean, librarians go to graduate school to learn how to use, operate, and manage libraries. We don't really expect y'all to be library experts. You can stop by to talk with us, make an appointment to come in. You can call us on the phone, email, whatever works best for you. And if you aren't sure who to ask, you can actually ask any library staff, and they'll direct you to the right person. We do have online resources that you can use to learn about the library. That includes library guides, or LibGuides for short, a chat with the librarian feature that operates 24/7, and both live and recorded webinars about library services. So this is all to say that you don't have to be intimidated by the library. We are more than happy. We're super excited to explain anything that you need explained. All you have to do is let us know that you need help. The library is open 7 days a week. During finals, we stay open late and provide free coffee and snacks at the front desk. And there are a lot of people that work in the library. There's actually over 25. So I'm not going to introduce you to everyone, just a few people here. Up at the top there at the right is Jeanette. She is our kind of front desk master. So she is usually up at the front during the daytime, and she can route you to the appropriate person when you need help or answer simple questions. If you need to go more in depth, we prefer you talk to a librarian. Terry Stover, over on the left side, is our library director, but she's also a librarian, and she's been kind of in this library in one form or another for many years, and she knows her stuff. Olivia Garcia is our electronic and digital services librarian, so she's really, really good at figuring out database problems and navigating the databases. Nisha Federick is our reference librarian. So she is mainly focused on research and finding the right sources for information. So she's a great resource for if you're working on a project and you're just really having trouble finding the information that you need. And then I'm down there in the corner, Kendra Harrell. That picture is before my hair turned purple. And I am kind of the junior librarian slash everything else librarian. So whatever they ask me to do, I do, and I get to learn about all kinds of new things. So I'm going to pause here for a second and wrap up this section. Does anyone have any questions about the different types of resources that the library has to offer. All right, we're going to move on to the next section. Database searching. So this part of the webinar is meant to be a practical guide to finding what you need on the library's website. The goals for this section are to learn how to access the library resources through the web, learn how to build a functional search, learn how to narrow down your search results, and then learn how to tell if an article is peer-reviewed or not. Also learning how to find libguides, the Ask Us chat feature, and other help features. So questions I want to answer in this section are: what is a database? What is a journal? What is peer review and why does it matter? What is special about library databases? How do I search the library databases? How do I narrow down a search? How do I save an article? How do I choose a database to search? And how do I get help? So we're going to start with, what is a database? So in order to find a resource, it's important to know what you're actually looking at. So when I talk about library databases, what am I really talking about? Well, a database is essentially a collection of information stored in electronic format. Fairly simple concept, but sometimes a database can be really general, like Wikipedia, which is essentially a crowdsourced encyclopedia. And then sometimes databases can be themed and specific, like Wikipedia, which is the online Star Wars encyclopedia. So like both of those, a lot of databases are free to use online. And like those, many databases are not academic databases. So the information that's stored in databases comes from in lots of different kind of formats. Journal articles are one of the big ones, and that's what we're going to mainly focus on in this section. Other categories that you might see, though, are newspaper and magazine articles, books, ebooks, videos, and images. Some of our databases focus only on one type of information. They may only have videos. Some of them have a mix of different types, though. So when I say journal, what does that mean exactly? Well, you can think of a journal as a collection of articles, very much like a magazine, but it's, with usually a lot fewer pictures and advertisements. Peer-reviewed journals are used by academics of all professions to kind of update each other about their work, inform the world about new discoveries or changes in research, and to contribute to their field in a formal way. Journals are published on a quicker timetable than books, and because of this, they tend to be more current and are often more relevant to trending topics in a field of study. Also, because articles are relatively short, they can provide targeted, specific information about a single topic. So a vast majority of the library's journal articles are available through electronic databases, but there are still some that we do have in print in the library. These journals can't be checked out of the library, but they are available for use in the library. And if you're a distant student and you need to access one of our journals that we only have in print, just contact us, and most likely we can scan that specific article and just send it to you. So how are library databases different from Wikipedia? There's lots of ways, but we're going to talk about three of the main ones. One important distinction is that they're often not free, which means your tuition and government funding enables the library to purchase subscriptions for these databases that then you're able to access. So that's why it's important when you go to a database to log in through the library's website instead of going to Google and typing in Elsevier. The library's website has it has our special web access in the web address for each of those databases. So if you try to access it directly, like going through Google, you'll be directed usually to pay for content or to log in to something that you don't have a login to. So you don't need to do that. If you end up at that point, backtrack a little bit and start with the library's website. And I'll show you a list of where all the articles are on the website. But if you do end up not able to access something that you think you ought to be able to access, it's probably because of that problem. Another important difference is that library databases are aimed at academic content. So, for instance, if you're searching for sharks, you're not going to find the video for baby shark, but you're going to find, journal articles about shark behavior in biology. Another one of the reasons that the information in library databases is different from Wikipedia is that a lot of it is peer-reviewed. So this means that when a journal publishes an article, the editors have other professionals in that field review the content of the work first to make sure that it lives up to the standards of that field. So, for example, if a scientist submits an article to be published on shark bites in the American Journal of Forensic Medicine and Pathology, and it has references to the different sized bites of baby shark versus mommy shark, citing the baby shark video on YouTube, the other scientists that are in charge of reviewing submissions are going to flag that so it does not get published. This process is meant to control the quality of an academic journal and maintain high standards for published articles. On the other hand, Wikipedia articles are not subject to that same sort of filtering. I want to make a quick distinction here. The library has different types of databases, and some of our databases contain the full text of journal articles. So if you click on that journal title, it's going to take you to the entire article. But some only contain partial text, like maybe they only have an abstract for that article or an index of the article that is essentially just a citation for that article. I'm going to show you how to kind of sort out the partial text so that they won't be kind of muddying up your search. Because at this stage, that may not be something that you're really looking for. So let's take a look at the library's website. If you look at the screenshot I've got there, the search databases bar that's in the middle of the page, that's our swoop search. Now, swoop is kind of our Google style search. It's a one-stop search that searches most of our databases. And you're going to get a lot of results from that as well. And that can be good and bad. So if you enter a simple search keyword like agriculture, you're going to get back over 9 million results. And that's complete information overload. That's way too much to search through to find what you're looking for. So in order to make our searches more effective, we just have to narrow down our topic and narrow down some other factors as well. Now, if you're off campus and you're trying to kind of follow along and you're ending up at a login page, you've probably seen this page or something like it. That's where you can log in with your university credentials, same way that you'd log into Blackboard to just prove that you have access and that you're an actual student. If you have trouble logging in, you'll need to contact University IT. They handle the passwords for the whole school, so the library can't actually reset that for you. That has to go directly to IT. So let's look at some searching strategies here. Let's look at our Boolean operators, or, and not. So if we use or in a database search, that means you're searching for multiple keywords equally. So if you search for dog or canine or hound, the results will contain articles that mention any of those terms. Any of the results may contain only the word dog, only canine, or only hound, or a combination. So this is going to retrieve a lot more results than if you searched only for canine. When we use and, it'll actually get us fewer results than or. So if you search for employee and motivation, your results are only going to have articles that include both of those terms together. Not necessarily in that order, but they both have to be present in that article for it to pop up in your results. The not Boolean operator you can use to uninclude a keyword in your search. So this works the same way that a minus sign works in Google. So if you're searching for cookie recipes in Google and you keep getting back maybe tons of Pinterest pages that you really don't want to go dig through to find what the preview is showing you, you can actually change your search to cookie recipe minus Pinterest. So it'll be just the minus symbol and then Pinterest with no spaces in between. And then that way your results list is going to just get rid of all the Pinterest links. It's pretty handy. And that's the same concept with the word not. So if you want to search for, say, computer virus in the library databases, but you don't want to include worms, you can search for computer virus, not worm. And then you won't have to wade through articles that you just aren't going to be able to use. Truncation is not a Boolean operator, but it is kind of a good tool to have on hand. With truncation, you can put in a symbol. In most of our databases, it's going to be an asterisk. And that means that the search will include all the variants of a single word. So for example, teach asterisk will retrieve results for teach, teacher, teaches, teachers, teaching, etc. Anything that starts with teach. And you don't have to come up with every version of a keyword. You can just use that kind of root portion of the word to kind of construct your search. So when you're trying to search on a specific topic, it helps to break down that search into the keywords of your topic. So for example, if you're doing a project on how stress affects the academic performance of students in higher education, you could break down that into keywords stress, academic performance, students, higher education. Because academic performance is multiple words, putting it together in parentheses, just kind of like in a math equation, will help the phrase stay intact in the search string, so it won't separate out academic and performance. Truncating student will allow us to get results that include student and students. And by adding the truncated terms university and college to the search as well, you can account for different terms that are often used for higher education. So you want to think about synonyms as well that may be common. Because any of those would be acceptable, you can separate them by an or to get any combination. Truncating university also helps you get universities, and it's the same for college. Adding the asterisk will allow for the plural. So if you want to find an exact phrase, you can put it in quotation marks. This works in Google as well. However, this is not always going to be the best way to search a database unless you already know maybe the exact title of an article or a distinct phrase that you are trying to find. Kind of a quick and dirty search, if you already know the title of the article that you're looking for, is to put a portion of it in quotation marks and throw that through Swoop and just see if it pops up. That may be especially handy if you were just looking at an article and then you lost track of it, but you remember the title of it. And then you can kind of find it again pretty quick. So the Boolean searches using and, or not are really going to be the best way to find what you're looking for in Swoop and most of our library databases. We're going to look at kind of an example search in Swoop to find even more searching strategies, though. So if you're looking for an academic article about how stress affects the academic performance of students in higher education, and you're using Boolean operators, you still might end up with way too many results to look through. This search result list that I did as a test here started with over 900,000 results. That's complete information overload, and seeing that, you might be tempted to just give up. But we're not done yet, and I'll show you how to narrow it way down. So on the search page, note that the icons next to each result tell you kind of what type of resource they are. For example, academic journal, book, periodical, and then the links right below indicate how to get access to that resource. So for example, on this first result, you can see it's an academic journal, and if you click that PDF full text, it'll take you right to the PDF. There are a lot of options on the left side of the screen that are going to be our best friends here. These are limiters. They're different options that you can turn on and off that are going to limit your results. And you can think of this like filters in an online store. So if you're shopping for shoes, you can put a check mark next to your size, and then the website will only show you shoes that come in your size. It's the exact same concept. So by checking off full text, we can be sure that the results will show us only articles that we have full access to and not abstracts or partial text records. There's also a handy checkbox for scholarly peer-reviewed. This is going to be pretty important. It means you don't have to research each article, each publisher, each journal, and find out if the journal that you're looking at is peer-reviewed or not. And this is such an important thing to scholarly work that the function is built right into the databases. So by checking this off, you know that the articles you see in your results are going to be peer-reviewed. And this takes our results all the way down to 717,644. Still a lot, but we're not done yet. So if we keep going down that list of limiters, we're going to check off academic journals. That cuts out things like book reviews, books, ebooks, and other resources that aren't academic journal articles. We can further limit the results to just English language articles. And then we can also choose the geographical focus of United States if that's appropriate for your research. And that takes the results all the way down to 17,976. That's way less than 900 some thousand, but it's still kind of a lot. So if we want to use recently published research only, we can narrow that down even further by selecting publication dates. So if we restrict it to 2015, 2018, maybe, and you can go all the way up to 2020, this is just an example, that gives us less than 1,500 results. And we can even focus it further down. If we click into that show more under filter by subject, and we look at all the different options there of different keywords and subjects, it's kind of, subjects are different from keywords. They're more highly structured, but they're still fairly self-explanatory. By choosing the subject universities and colleges for the sample search, we now are taking down only 42 results to look through, down from almost 950,000. And we did that only using checkboxes. So that's not too hard. That's pretty doable. Once we find an article that we like, we can click through to the title of the article, and it's going to take you to kind of a summary page. And that page is going to have more information about the article, usually an abstract, list of authors, different subject terms. You can also click through to the PDF of the article here, and you can create a citation for the article with the Cite button on the right. That's pretty handy because when you click on that, it pops up a list of different citation formats like APA, MLA, Chicago, and you can copy and paste that into your Word document as you go. So if you want to find more articles that are similar to that one perfect one that you found, you can click on the Find Similar Results button, and then Swoop is going to build a new search based on that article. So you'd also follow the same steps with the results that the new search creates, because it kind of reboots your search. So you'd still have to go down those checkboxes and narrow down your results again. There's a few different ways that you can save an article from Swoop. You can either load the PDF and then download that to whatever device you're on. You can click the Save PDF to Cloud button and save it to your Google Drive, Dropbox, or Microsoft OneDrive, or you can add it to an EBSCO folder. Now, Swoop is run on an EBSCO platform. EBSCO is a company. If you do choose the Add to Folder option, you'll need to make an EBSCO account in order to save that to the folder. Otherwise, when you leave that browser session, your folder's gone. The link at the top of the page that says sign in that kind of red box, that's going to direct you to creating that EBSCO account. And then when you come back next time to find the articles that you saved, you'll just need to sign in again to get back your access to them. I want to add in a quick detail here. If you're searching for an article and forget to check off full text, you're going to find results that have the request this item through interlibrary loan button. Now, in this specific example, it's actually a little bit of an anomaly. If you click on that view record from Science Direct, it will actually take you to the article. However, if you do not have an option like that in the result for the article you want, you can click on that interlibrary loan link and request the article. It's just going to take you to a form to fill out with your name and contact information. The library card number line, that's just your student ID number. And you can add comments to the comment section if you need to let us know if it's an emergency or any other details. It's going to take usually 1 to 3 business days for the reference librarian to get that article and send it to you. If it does happen to be one of the rare instances where we cannot find a copy of it, she will let you know. So kind of reviewing Swoop searching. Articles are stored in databases. The library has many databases, but a quick way to search a lot of them all at once is Swoop. You can start with a broad subject, and then you can use Boolean operators like and, or, and not to refine that search. You can use the limiters, the little checkboxes, to focus down your results even further. And then if you find the perfect article, you can use the Find More Like This feature. And lastly, we always want to try to save our articles. I've had many calls and people stopping by to ask, I was just looking at this article, but I logged off the computer and I forgot to save it. Is there any way to go back and find that? Not really. You pretty much have to trace your footsteps and do the search again. And if you don't remember exactly how you got to that point, it can be very difficult to re-find an article. I'm going to pause for a moment here and take a sip of water and find out if y'all have any questions about using Swoop. All right. So Swoop is a very useful tool, but if you're still getting just too much junk in your search results, or you really need to use a specific database that you've been assigned by your professor, you can narrow down your search even further by kind of going back a few steps. If you choose a specific database that's already targeted to your discipline or topic, you're going to get more specific information and probably a little bit faster. So on the left side of the library's webpage, or if you're on mobile, it's going to be in that little menu button. There's a list of sections. If you click on the Locate Library Resources button, it's going to take you to a list of different types of resources that the library has. The very first one is databases. So if we click into that, it's going to take you to our A to Z databases list. We've got over 250 databases listed that you have access to. Most of those are covered in a Swoop search. However, that's only most. And if you're looking for a specific type of resource, you might want to check here as well. This list is sortable by subject and type of resource, like a video or newspaper, etc. And you can also search the list of databases. Now, when you type in a search into that search for databases box, that's not going to search those databases for an article. That's going to search the descriptions of each individual database. So I know that can get a little bit confusing, but we're kind of at this point one step above actually searching for a individual article. So to find the database that you want, you kind of have to know exactly what you're looking for. So for instance, if you're looking for maybe an article that is a literary criticism of a written work, you can search that database search for literary criticism, and the databases that come up in the results are going to have either descriptions beneath them or part of their name will match up with that search term, and you can glance through those and figure out which one you want to look at for your project. If a database is described using the words abstracts or index, it's probably not a full text resource, so just kind of keep that in mind when you're choosing where to look. So for this example, we're going to choose, I think it was that very first option, literature criticism online. So if we click into that, it's going to take us to the individual database so that we can do our search. Now, we were talking about before, the Swoop search uses an EBSCO system, but this is a different company. This is Gale. Gale databases usually have a pretty simple search bar up at the top, and then a more advanced search that you can access and link together with Boolean terms. Those little drop boxes that say and, those have and, or, and not in them, so you can kind of build your search in layers. Now, if you enter the search terms Walt Whitman and poem in the next line, link those with the Boolean operator and, the page is going to construct the search and put that together as Walt Whitman and poem. Now, because that search is pretty broad, we're going to end up with a lot of results. So that search found 1,624 results. Still not as many as we would find in Swoop, because we're only searching that one individual database, though. But good news, pretty much all of our databases have limiters, unless it's a specialty database, and limiters wouldn't help. They might look different in each individual database, and they may have different categories, but that's actually usually a good thing because those categories are customized for that exact database and the type of content that that database has. So by clicking off limiters to narrow down my results, I was able to go from 1,600 records to only 26. And that's going to be way easier to look through. So one thing I do want to point out, though, is that this database does not have the peer-reviewed limiter. If you think about it, the literature criticism is so inherently opinion-based, and many articles and journals of that type are just not going to be peer-reviewed. So just kind of something to keep in mind. Make sure to follow your professor's instructions, depending on the assignment, if they are going to require you to have a peer-reviewed article. Now, just like with Swoop, which runs on EBSCO, again, you can save your favorite articles to a folder. However, this is not the same folder as your EBSCO folder because it's a Gale database. They don't play nice. They're separate companies. The systems don't like to talk to each other. So you also have the option of clicking into the article title and then downloading a PDF, the same from Swoop. And once you click into that article's summary page, you can also get a citation. You can send the file to a cloud drive, or you can print it out from there. And just like with EBSCO, if you don't sign into your account, it's not going to save your folder. But the good news is with Gale, at least, it allows you to sign in using a Google or Microsoft account. If you see the links circled at the very top of that screenshot. So at least then you don't have to make an entirely new login. So kind of reviewing real quick the how to choose a database. You use the Locate Library Resources button and then click on that first option, Database, on the library's website. Then you'll have to choose a database by sorting or searching the list to find the right resource for what you're researching. Then using your chosen database's individualized, customized search tools, you create a search and then use whatever limiters it has in that database to focus down your results. And don't forget to save your article if you find one of interest. So you can kind of see the process is the same. The underlying concept here is the same. As Swoop, it's just more targeted because you're using an individual database instead of searching a whole bunch at once. Now, I want to do a quick kind of sideways step here. There is another way to find out if a journal is peer-reviewed, even if you are in a resource that does not have that checkbox option. You can still double check it. We have a database called Ulrich's Web. It's one of the databases that's in that A to Z databases list, but instead of having articles or videos in it, the information it contains is information about journals. So once you open that database, you can type the name of your journal that the article you found is from, and you can search for that. And this is what the results look like. So if we search for the source of our Gale Literature Criticism Online article about Walt Whitman, which was it was called Poetry Criticism, was the journal title, then we can check to make sure it's not peer-reviewed for sure. Many other items are going to come up in that search, but the very top one there is the exact match. And we can tell because the publisher is Gale and the title is exactly what we searched for. The second column, or the third column, if we're including the little checkboxes there, is the one that we need to pay attention to. The little black and white stripy shirt kind of looking thing is that indicates if a journal title is refereed or not. And refereed is just kind of a different term for peer-reviewed. So as you can see, that poetry criticism does not have that icon in that column. It's not peer-reviewed. If we search for the journal that the sample article about stress in college students came from in our Swoop search, then we can confirm that it is indeed peer-reviewed. It's got that little shirt in the second or third column there. The reason that there's so many multiple instances in that bottom box there of that same journal title is actually if I had more of the screen on here and we scrolled over a little bit, you would see the formats it listed are print, online, and microform. It's the same exact journal, it's just listing all formats. But also because all of them are marked as refereed, we don't really need to go into that. So quick review here of Ulrich's Web. You can find Ulrich's Web in the A to Z database list. you would search for your journal, not the article title itself, but the journal that the article is from. And then you would look for that refereed mark. If it is marked, you have a peer-reviewed article. If it is not marked, you do not have a peer-reviewed article. Now, even with all of those tools and strategies, you might still get stuck once in a while, and that's perfectly fine. The help, library guides, and schedule an appointment buttons are on every page of the library's website. And the help button takes you to several ways to get assistance, including chat features and contact information. You can chat with the librarian at the John F. Moss Library during open hours, or if no one is available or it's 2 a.m., you can actually chat with another university librarian from somewhere else in the English-speaking world, and they will help you figure out how to find your resource or answer your question. Now, our library guides, or LibGuides for short, they're created by librarians here at the library to help you find resources for a specific class or subject. There's about 77 or so, I think, right now, and we're always working on building more. On that LibGuides page, you can search for a particular topic like chemistry, or you can search for a specific class. EDU 520 has its own LibGuide, and that's where I'm going to be posting the recording of this webinar later. So each guide has information on how to find books, ebooks, databases, and journals that are targeted to whatever subject or class that you've picked there. And it's a really good place to start out a project. It can kind of give you a launching point for your research. At the schedule an appointment page, you can make an appointment to talk to a librarian about your project. You can pick the day and time from each librarian's individual calendar and then let them know in the notes what you'd like their help with. And if you want, this can even be a scheduled phone call or a Zoom meeting, just like this one. You can just let us know after you schedule the time slot. Now, in order to get training on other library resources, you can either make an appointment with a librarian or you can check for upcoming training classes that are already scheduled on our calendar at tamut.libcal.com. And that wraps up the section on database searching for the training webinar. I'm going to pause here for a moment and see if anyone has any questions about searching electronic databases. All right. So I'm going to finish this up with a look at some upcoming changes. Now, I'm going to kind of show you a preview here. Right now, our data is accessible through eGlit, which is our catalog that is only for print resources, and Swoop, which actually searches both print and electronic resources. So this system has kind of evolved over time. It's a little clunky. It's not the most streamlined or user-friendly. We're currently working on integrating these systems by upgrading to a new platform altogether that will essentially replace both of those with one product. And I know you might be saying, wait, you just showed me how to use Swoop. What do you mean it's going away? Well, yeah, it is. But the techniques and the tools, the limiters, the Boolean searching, that's all still going to be there. It's just going to look a little different. The idea is going to be the same. The website's just going to have a different kind of appearance. And I'll show you what we're looking at here. The search is still going to start with a one-box search where you can enter your terms. And then it's still going to take you to a results page that has limiters on the left side. They're just going to be a little different from Swoop. So you can still see there we've got full text that you can check off. We've got different formats. And if I had more of this screen on the screenshot, you'd be able to see a lot more. You can even see on there under article, if you look at the small text there, we've got peer reviewed. So the important pieces are all still here. They're just going to be in a slightly different visual format. Now this hasn't launched yet, but we're still kind of working on finishing some things up, working out some bugs. But even when it does launch, it may not function perfectly right off the bat. If you run into any problems once it does, please contact us for help so that we can fix it. We are going to have new trainings available once the new system launches, but honestly, if you get to where you're pretty decent at Swoop, this isn't going to be as big a change. if you're starting from scratch once this launches, then you're going to have to learn from the basics again. So I would highly recommend that you don't hold off on anything if you've got some projects coming up, because Swoop right now is going to be a big help, and it is very functional and very useful. This new system, we don't have an exact launch date yet because we are trying to work out some bugs before we kind of replace the old system, but it is coming, most likely before the end of this semester. So keep an eye out. I will be updating the Facebook page, and there will be emails going out to students about the change. So that basically wraps up the whole webinar. I want to stop here for a moment and see if anybody has any questions about either the new system launch or any of the other library topics, or has any questions about something that maybe we haven't covered at all, and I can cover in a later training or send you more information about. All right, looks like we're good in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. If anyone comes up with other questions after either viewing the recording or just stops dead in the middle of a walk and says, "Oh, I need to ask Kendra about such and such database," feel free to email me. I'll scroll back up to my contact information here. Let me see. All the way back up. And you can drop me an email anytime. I do work afternoons and evenings, so if you do call me directly, there's a chance that I may not be at my desk. So the best way to reach me usually is emails, unless it's very time sensitive, in which case I would recommend calling the front desk of the library actually, and then asking for a librarian. But I'm going to go ahead and stop the webinar now. Thank you very much for attending and for viewing, and I hope it was useful information for you.